Hey fellas, so I'm out here putting the springs in this SN Mustang, and I remembered a trick I figured out a while back. Putting the springs in by yourself is kind of a chore, especially when they're long. So what I did is, that's great, drilled a hole in the back of the control arm, right in the back of the spring pocket. You can see it right there. It's like a 5/16, a 1/4 inch bolt. Just drill a hole, put the bolt in there, and that helps hold the spring in while you're jacking it up. Instead of having to try to do it yourself, you know, jack up and hold the spring and so on and so forth. Makes it a whole lot easier. So, little pointer to help you out if you're like me and end up doing a lot of stuff by yourself. It helps a lot. Plus, you don't have the danger of the spring going flying out. And once the spring gets seated, you want to make sure you got it. It goes in that little pocket there. And the end of it's got to be right down there. And I always spray a lot of silicone on the top and bottom so it goes in. You know, this is the what do you call it, poly insulators. So they make it sit up a little bit higher. But I put a lot of silicone on top and bottom to help the spring go into the insulator easier. So that's it, fellas. Appreciate y'all. Hey guys, I'm gonna add something onto this one real quick because it's kind of in the same ballpark when you're working on these. The sway bar, front sway bar end links. The torque specs on the manual are go like on the SN cars. I don't know what they are on Fox bodies, but they're 130 to 190 inch-pounds. So if you run it to the top of the torque spec, bushings are going to be compressed, and when you turn in, your sway bar is going to have an effect right away. What the front sway bar does, it helps keep the front of the car flat, but you're also kind of keep it. It helps if you got a big front sway bar, the car is going to understeer, meaning it'll tend to plow and go forward. If you don't have a sway bar, when you turn in, it's gonna, you know, the front end's gonna lean over and it's gonna have a pretty sharp turn in. So what you can do when you tighten these down is not tighten them down so much, so it'll have a good sharp turn in, but you'll still have the sway bar. So torque specs, like I said, is 130 to 190, 132 to 192, I should say, inch-pounds. I put this at 120 inch-pounds, like 10 foot-pounds, ain't nothing to it. So it has, you know, it still has good crisp turn in. And on this we've also got a Fox body rear sway bar because they're a little beefier than the what these come with. The rear sway bar also helps, you know, if you got a good sway bar on the back, it'll help, it won't plow as much, we'll say that. Like on the SN cars with the convertible and the V8 have a pretty beefy rear sway bar, so that's what I've got on the back of the LTD, and it makes a big difference. My first several motorsports events weren't drag racing. I started out in autocross and impromptu road racing in Mexico, as they used to say. So that's why I kind of like doing this stuff. So really crank the sway bar, then you'll have the you want to have a sharp turning, it'll tend to plow a little bit. If you loosen it, and then you'll have a crisper turn in and have a good sway bar on the back, and you can do some drifting. All right, appreciate y'all. Later.